What's the program? 800, go to 830, run. 900, read. 1000, print. Don't bother me, I'm learning now. Don't bother me, I'm learning how to run.
What you are seeing is computer knowledge, the same knowledge used by banks, airlines, and NASA space programs in the hands of children. Pat Tubbs shows her fourth grade class what makes a computer work. It's called a chip. A miracle chip that represents 20,000 bits of information and is housed inside the computer. To put information into the computer, you need an input device like a keyboard. An output device extracts the information from the computer and either displays it on a screen or prints it out on a printer. This equipment, these components, are called hardware. Software is information or programs that are stored on or retrieved by audio cassettes or magnetic discs.
All they have to do is know how to read the instruction manual, really. And if you just read, just a little bit or watch people, you can really learn almost everything to do on the computer. It takes a few weeks, but you can really learn how to do a lot on the computer by watching other people.
Oh, they can start in first grade if they want. I mean, it's really easy to use a computer.
Luckily, young children haven't learned fear or intimidation. They look upon everything new as an adventure, a challenge, without misconceptions, without prejudice. They're willing to try just about anything. And the computer, to them, is fun. They can't wait to learn how to use it. They start young, and they start with games.
We start with games to demystify the computer to the child. If we started with a classroom lecture, we would probably end up with kids who didn't want to go near the computers. They're fascinated by the machine itself, and by actually using it through games, they begin to ask questions.
If games are more than fun, what do they teach? Well, they can be as simple as Simon, a game where the child learns to follow the leader by copying a series of sounds that the computer makes. Or word games that teach spelling and grouping of words by first letter and numbers. Super Math provides drill and practice in addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. If the answer is right, you get a smile. A frown if it's wrong. It also lets the student choose a level of difficulty that matches or challenges his skills. DARTS not only familiarizes students with fractions, it teaches the skill of estimating fractions, the function educators are very excited about.
Can you learn anything from playing games?
Yes, it can be
Strategy.
English game or strategy.
Explain.
Well, that could depend on what the program is.
It could be in English or math. They had a math game one time, and you try and answer all the problems.
What is a game like Othello teach you?
Strategy. Logic and strategy.
Learn to use your imagination, to think, to learn basic language.
But I've just learned by watching other people who knew how to use it.
What have you learned?
Well, I've learned how to print something in, how to set coordinates to draw something on the screen.
Anybody
And
else? Jeff?
How to really be creative. It's just fun using it because you can be more creative.
You have the child in the maximum learning posture during a game session. A skillful programmer, a skillful teacher, will try to put any learning experience in a game mode to maximize the intellectual and emotional posture of the student. It's what you enjoy doing that you learn the most.
We've got several kids now who were in games classes in summer school who are, every time they see me, will ask, when are you going to start teaching us programming? When are you going to start teaching us programming? The interest builds on its own.
Most of the children, when they do this first basic program, the very simple one that they were doing today, and they see their name on it the first time, they're just really bright. Yeah, they're really bright and happy. And we've been learning how to write programming. They learn that there are basic rules that you have to follow, and if you don't follow them, it won't do what you've wanted it to do. And they've learned that it's very, very important to follow the rules and to follow the punctuation rules or the vocabulary that the computer understands.
The reason why you put it down on paper first is because you don't want to make a big mistake while you're doing the typing.
We find that some of our very best programs that we use from again and again are ones that our own students have put together. So we should never underestimate the creativity of the students.
If a program works, you feel pretty good.
Well, it feels like fun because the computer is talking back to you, sort of.
You want the kid to be the author. You want the kid to learn to write.
It kind of makes you feel quite happy to see something that you wrote go onto a computer, something like that. Just like if you built a model rocket and it flew, you'd be happy. And even if you made thousands of model rockets before, you'd still be happy with the one that you shot off, because just the knowing that something that you made is doing that makes you feel kind of excited.
I think it's like the breakthrough point in any other area of learning when something finally appears as a whole to you, when you put all the pieces of the puzzle together and flash, you've got it.
I didn't even know what I was doing, and all of a sudden, who am I? I don't know. You know.
I would have felt that some of those children that you saw in the other room had been cheated last year had we not had a computer. I could not possibly have properly challenged two of those boys you had if we hadn't had the computer for them to explore.
Because of the computer's infinite patience, each student can go at his or her own pace. If the child is slow, the computer responds slowly. If the child is fast, the computer responds quickly. The children aren't pressured to compete with each other. They compete with themselves.
We have to schedule them. They'll fight over it. They'll go erase each other's names on the schedule. It's just, they love it so much that they don't stop at anything. I had some children so angry at Nancy today that they couldn't stand it because she didn't pick them. She couldn't pick all of them.
Their interest level is so high that they do vie for place on that machine. I just thought it probably means I have to get two of them, right?
They cooperate really well, although everybody wants to get their hands on the computer, and that's the hard part, holding your hands back.
Instead of showing a decline of skills, these children are acquiring skills by using the computer. They eagerly learn to read, follow directions, spell, locate information, analyze, and solve problems. They even learn to type.
I could give an example of a child who was here in summer school who is completely turned off to school, learning, everything in his normal life in second grade in another school. He came here for summer school and was so fired up by the computers, that's all he wanted to do.
I think the example Donnie gave of a child who was turned off to school, who's now excited about it, is an example of a child who now is going to become a learner in a lot of different areas. That excitement is going to transfer from the work with the computer to probably some other things. And we've seen that here, children who've become awakened to the joys of creative writing, starting with a program on the computer and leading off to working with pencil and paper. In other words, the learning may start with the computer, but it certainly doesn't have to end there.
One of the computer's applications has helped many students. It's called simulation, and educators are very excited about it. Simulation is simply a function of the computer that allows students to electronically reproduce situations that could occur in real life. For example, the engine. The computer reproduces it on the screen, and the class can learn how things like ignition, compression, and combustion work without ever having to take apart a real engine. Lemonade teaches students at an early age the factors involved in running a business. The computer tells you what the weather will be. Then you figure out how many glasses of lemonade you want to make that day. Determine how many advertising signs you'll need, and then decide how much to charge for a glass of lemonade. The computer then gives you a daily financial report, and presto, you're in business.
I think it will help overcome what's one of the very worst things that we do in education. Kids have the notion that there is one answer and that there's one way to do a thing. And the computer will provide them with the alternatives and the fact that they have to think of all these different ways that they might attack that. It can be done with blocks and questions if the teacher's skillful enough, but not as effectively as that random thing that's built into the program that lets things happen that they didn't anticipate.
Once a student realizes there are many ways to accomplish something, a wide variety of possibilities are open to him. He can try one, and if it doesn't work, try another. The computer can help him every step of the way. These boys are twins. One of them is deaf. And here they are, working together on a design, using a computer and a graphic plotter. A deaf child needs a great deal of help and practice in learning the English language. By working with the computer, he's reading directions and following directions, and he is typing instructions into the computer, all of which help him use the language he is trying to master. And his mother is pleased that he has found an interest he doesn't need hearing for.
If parents get involved with their children, they keep young.
In addition to helping deaf children communicate, the computer is becoming a beneficial way to help the emotionally handicapped, the mentally retarded, and even the blind interact and learn in ways educators never thought possible before. When Lakewood School in Sunnyvale, California, held an open house for parents, they were amazed at what their children knew.
A very high turnout of parents, which is very unusual. And they stayed around and were just crowding in around the computers, waiting for their child to put in the program that they did, or either that or show what they had learned with the computers. So they were all very, very pleased with it.
Sit here, Mom. No! Why you sit here? It won't bite. I don't know. Believe it or not. If everything's right there, all this is all honey, you can put in your program. Yeah, that would be nice. How would you do that? Yeah, but you could do this first. You just follow what's right here. And here's the numbers and there's the letters. Okay, just write 10? Uh-huh. Over here. Right here? Uh-huh. This? Where's 0? Right there with the line through it. Okay, and then what? Right, you space it. Now you write print.
Oh. Where is it?
Just write it for me.
Now return button.
See.
Oh, it's so nice. How simple it is.
And no, it took you 15 minutes to do it.
It's my first time.
What you are seeing is an educational phenomenon. A generation of children teaching their parents skills not known in their parents' generation.
It was something that was almost like a foreign language to the parents that the children had learned. And also that they knew that it was something that was up and coming and that in the future they would need to know for their benefit. So they were pleased with that.
I don't know. I mean, I hope she gives it up.
Okay.
Right. I'm very proud of her.
Yes.
Yes.
I think it's fantastic.
Today, over 90% of American homes have at least one television set. Yet when today's children who've been exposed to a computer compare it to television, there seems to be no comparison at all.
Okay, given the choice, being able to watch TV or being able to play with a computer.
Computer wins by far. Television, it does what it wants to do. And you, if you have a computer, the computer does what you want it to do.
With the TV, it's passive and you can't put anything into it. And with this, you can put into it and make it do what you want. But with the TV, it's just that you don't have to listen, you don't have to talk, you don't have to picture anything in your mind.
It's more fun because you get to control it, and the TV controls itself. She's got it.
Television is currently by far the most overwhelming educational device in our culture, probably in world culture. One learns more from an hour of watching the video than he can learn from years in studies of a certain type.
It's almost just like using a television, except it's like learning and watching television at the same time.
And I dream of a time when the computer and the video can get together, and the video can do its marvelous stimulus, educational stimulus in its own skillful way. And the computer will be married right to it.
While we are just beginning to tap the educational potential of television, computer education is coming along very rapidly. And in its initial stages, there are, of course, some problems. And as always, the first is money. Where do you get the funding?
A group of parents solicited donations from parents in the parent body.
I think where or how we're going to get the computers is by parent support.
We find that the most powerful group is the PTA. Many of the funds that bring kids here are PTA funds.
Some teachers fear the computer, fear the possible effects on their jobs.
Many teachers are much more afraid of it than children are.
I don't see a computer ever replacing a teacher.
I don't see them replacing teachers at all. No way. They'll just be an extra added resource.
Computers are coming more and more into education, and teachers are going to have to learn how to use them, just like teachers had to learn how to use movie projectors and tape recorders and all the other AV equipment that has been infiltrating the schools over the last 10 or 15 years. I think the computers are the next step.
Two major factors that will help to popularize the computer are price and size. We all remember 10 years ago when calculators cost $800. Today, you can get a good one for under $10. The same thing is happening with computers. This incredible price drop is due to the miniaturization of the chip. A personal computer today has roughly 20,000 functions, and experts predict that by 1990, a computer could contain as many as 10 million functions. This will mean an amazing memory and execution ability with applications for everything from farms to hospitals and from municipal transit systems to outer space.
I think it will have more force than some of the other revolutions that we've looked at in education, because many of the others were from in the educational field itself. And the thing that's going to demand computer education is coming from outside. And the world of business and technology, I mean, if education doesn't do it, they're going to take it over and do it for them. I really feel that.
We need to be raising a generation of people who will be extremely comfortable with computers and not afraid of them, as I think people our age often are. There are a lot of messages in our society and science fiction on television everywhere that computers rule people, and we'd like to change that stereotype and graduate kids from here who feel like they control computers.
The most important thing that will come out of this so-called computer revolution is that lots and lots of kids are going to learn to use computers. They're going to be able to solve much more interesting and complex problems. They'll be able to think better about the world.
But let's not lose sight of one of the most important applications of the computer in the years to come. That of education. Education of all of us, no matter what age. In order to train our minds, expand our intellectual capabilities, in order to make the maximum use of the knowledge we'll have to grow into the future, we must learn to use the computer to our best advantage. And most important of all, we must recognize the computer revolution for what it is, a giant step, a helping hand into the unknown future, a revolution unlike any other that will most widely benefit our greatest hope for the future, our children.